Welcome in. We're continuing breaking coverage out of Johnstown. XL says 5 workers were hurt after a gas line erupted into a tower of fire. Front Range Fire Rescue shared this photo of this incredible scene. You can see just how high and large this fire got. Thanks for being here at 4 o'clock. We're not there yet. I'm Alexandra Lewis.
And I'm Sam Shocker. And this afternoon, we are still learning more about what happened. In fact, 9 News Northern Colorado reporter Amanda Gilbert is live at the scene. Amanda, we know XL crews had been working on a gas line there for the last couple of days. What else did you learn?
Yeah, that's right. Front Range Fire Rescue says they were aware of XL crews kind of working in the area the last 2 days. Now, this evening, things have returned to normal for the most part. All lanes of traffic are back open. First responders are no longer here. I'm mainly just seeing XL Energy trucks, but take a look at your screen. We're going to show you earlier this morning. First responders responded around 11:15. They say 5 people who were working on the gas line were injured. Firefighters say some cars and a small shed were damaged, but nearby homes and businesses are okay. The fire chief says they did do some door-to-door evacuations in the area for about an hour, but he says this is just something unusual.
Whenever they're working on lines, everybody has extreme safety precautions they have to follow. So yeah, I would say it's definitely not a common occurrence.
And although things are quieting down now, there was a fairly large fire response earlier today. I know multiple agencies were here, Greeley, Windsor, and Mountain View. The cause is still under investigation. Reporting live in Johnstown, Amanda Gilbert, 9 News.
Amanda, thank you. Yeah, you can only imagine just that visual of that almost like spiral funnel fire. I can imagine that neighbors and people there must have been quite frightened. So thank you, Amanda. Right now, we're working to learn more about this fire that Sky 9 spotted. This is in the Fort Lupton area. Once we learn more, we will bring you updates on air and online.
I'm giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham, Hakudash, of honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the whole free elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth, wherever you may be. Wherever you may be, to you I say Shalom, Meshua, Shalom. All right, so getting right into it about the one of these news clips here about the immigrants, okay? And of course, you know, with all the situation that's been happening for these past years, you had some that are really truly coming over here looking for a so-called better life, and then you also had, you know, the criminals that were coming over here. So, you know, obviously not doubting that there's criminals, but the thing is, it's like, it was never really about them being criminals. It's just that they try to paint a broad stroke that all these people are just illegal and they're all bad and they're all evil and so on and so forth. So it's never really about them being criminals. It's more so about them painting the narrative, right? Rhyme and reason. Problem, reaction, solution. Okay, these people are like this, and so this is our solution. And it talks about them using the ankle monitors. Okay, so now, and it talks about what? There's a key word that pops up a lot as of late. Surveillance, right? Because ultimately the game plan is total control. So what's stopping them from eventually moving forward to the point where they're threatened to be taken away to a camp unless you take my device? Or maybe they do get taken away to a family camp and you take my device, or else we're going to put you to death, and so on and so forth. All right, because there's not many more levels when it comes to monitoring and surveillance. And that top peak level is the microchip. Okay, and so that's the key thing, man. And you know, it's a play, as I said, you know, last week. Yeah, a lot of things that are kickstarting, you know, are aimed at the tribes because they know that you're Israelites. But ultimately, Esau is going to go after everybody who's not a part of his little 1%, which means it includes his own people. And that's why everybody's going to, you know, riot. And some people are going to go with the system. Some people are going to go against the system, and so on and so forth. Okay. But the point that I was making about the news clip is that it was never about them, really never about them being criminals. Now, I'm not saying that there are not criminals amongst them. Of course there are. but it was not really about them being criminals. It's about them painting the broad stroke that, like, see, this is what happened with the migrants, and this migrant did this, and this migrant did that, and this migrant, that migrant. Look, they're attacking our ICE agents. Oh, another set of people are rioting, and they attack these ICE agents, and so on and so forth. So they're using that to control the narrative and push the narrative that, hey, we need to move in heavier on these people. Now, the ankle monitor is one thing, but if they want to keep full surveillance, what's the next level? Okay, that's pretty much where it boils down to. What's the next level, or the final level? It's the microseed. And I'm just grab these couple of scriptures now. I shut it on down here. I actually just saved them. I don't know why I didn't even have it pulled back up on the screen, but I just want to get a couple here. Obviously, we know the 16, 17, and 18, right? But yeah, I want to get this right here. Okay, the beast from the earth, Revelation 13 and 11. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. All right, and they keep, everything that they market to you is like, oh, so convenient, oh, so helpful, oh, it'll do this, oh, it'll do that, oh, this is part of us making America great again. And ultimately, it's only to bring forth the agenda of the wicked elites, because their hands are trying to perform, fulfill their enterprise. That's what they're programmed to do. That's what they were created for this moment here. Okay. And he exercised, because after this, they're going to be destroyed. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, which was what? The ancient Roman Empire, who, in their research, you find out that they were a very fierce empire, very strong army, and so on and so forth. You basically, as I always say, you've been around this time, how the Roman Empire, you did not want to be their enemies, all right? You want to be their friends, tributaries, or something, all right? But you didn't want to be their enemies at the time. Okay, very fierce nation, and just like any Edomite, very unruly. So it says the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, all right, and fashioned after the ancient Roman Empire, is America, came up during the Renaissance period, worship the first beast, which is the ancient Roman Empire, whose deadly wound was healed, okay, because it fell, all right, Western Rome fell, and it went through that slump, or the Edomites, I should say, went through that slump, because Eastern Rome still continued on. Israelites came into power. Eventually, Renaissance period came back up, from Italy, to skip all the extra history there, okay. And I want to jump down here and just get these, because we should all know these by now. We got to keep bringing it out, because maybe there's someone new. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads, all right. And this mark, the forehead and the brain chips, we've been talking about that actually, I don't know if it was last week or this week, might have been both. But yeah, we put a few videos out there keeping up with the brain chips, like Synchron and Neuralink and so on and so forth. Okay. But the ultimate is the one where it says in the right hand, because that's referring to, I never put that one up, that's referring to their microseed, which is, the reason why I mentioned this is because the ankle monitor is like, what higher level does it get when it goes to monitoring and surveillance? It's the microseed. See? Well, it actually says a place of honor. Let's see what it says here. Wow, that's interesting. It says to receive or grant access to a visitor, not to refuse intercourse or friendship. Because if you take this device, that's exactly what you're doing. You're entering into a relationship with Esau and not the Heavenly Father. Okay? So pretty much most of those are the same. Some, a little different. But yeah, so back on point. The final stage of monitoring people and surveilling people is the digital device, man. Okay, and it's right around the corner. That's why brothers, the Lord has a spirit on different brothers. They're constantly talking about it right now. Not that it hasn't already been talked about multiple times, but just it's amping up because they're seeing the pieces of the MOTB puzzle, the final pieces, I should say, being pulled together. And Esau is doing it right in front of these people's faces while they're yelling and screaming at each other. Or they're talking about voting, they're talking about women's rights, they're talking about Democratic and Republican, whatever different parties, talking about all these crazy differences. Oh, talking about you're anti-Semitic and you're anti this and anti that. All this other everything else going on except for them seeing what matters the most. This system that the man is trying to pull out in front of your face, man. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that have the mark of the beast, see that he that have the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, which it tells us down below what that is. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 scoring 666. All right, and that will be on their UPC code, which will be in their devices, and their devices they're trying to get inside of you. Okay, and if they can't get their device inside of you, well, on a general level, all people, but for you Israelites in particular, that's him entering into the Lord's temple, right? He wants to delete you, okay? Because you won't have any place in his society. And as I mentioned before, okay, there's in his world that he's imagining, there is going to be no God. He's going to be God. There will be no Yahweh. There will be no Yahweh Shai. Even when you're talking about the false ones, there's going to be an Allah and a Jesus and a Buddha. It's going to be Esau either. That's in his mind, okay? Especially when it comes to these churches, because they want to keep following their false doctrine. All right. In a minute, they're about to find out that they're going to have to stand on their Jesus, right? And that's what they will leave. You're going to have to stand on him, okay? The Israelites are lying, right? That's what you say. We're lying. It's not Yahweh or Yahweh Shah. We're lying. So you're going to have to stand on God and Jesus and see how that works for you, because even though you don't have the true names and you're not worshiping the Lord, all right, and so on and so forth, guess what? Esau is coming after you too, because you still worship something else other than him. That's what his device is about, worshiping him and him having left-hand power like the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. See? That's that 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. Isaiah 14, okay? He wants to say that I am. All right, now, I know I kind of steamroll past the news clip. The news clip really more was like a springboard, okay? Because they're talking about using the ankle monitors on these migrants, and then what's happening, what happens when they start to really round them up, okay? It ain't going to be no ankle monitors no more, okay? People are going to have chips inside of them, and those that don't want to get, chipped and dipped are going to be deleted, okay? And the main ones they're going to be targeting are the men of the truth, man, because we're going to stand, Lord will, Yahweh Bashim Shah, his spirit be on us and he be with us, like we know and trust that he will, okay, Lord willing. We're going to be the biggest threat because we're saying hell no to a system, okay, and we're what stands in his way of eradicating the memory of Yahweh, while Yahweh Shah and Israelites and all former history. The prophets that stand in the way. So I leave it at that. Lord, will you edify? Shalom.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement is expected to increase the number of immigrants fitted with GPS-equipped ankle monitors. The directive, first reported by the Washington Post Thursday, comes as the Trump administration ramps up surveillance of non-detained migrants. In the memo, ICE directs staff to fit people in the agency's Alternatives to Detention program with ankle monitors whenever possible. Around 183,000 adult migrants are enrolled in ATD, consenting to some form of tracking or mandated check-in while their cases are pending. But currently, only 24,000 of them reportedly wear ankle monitors. The new directive marks a significant expansion of the 20-year-old surveillance program. While critics acknowledge the devices are more humane than detention centers, they argue the 6-ounce monitors are uncomfortable, stigmatizing, and invasive. Some legal experts claim the practice turns people's homes into digital cages. They also note federal data by the American Immigration Council shows the vast majority of non-detained migrants with resolved or pending deportation cases attended all their court cases from 2008 to 2018. An ICE spokesperson declined to comment on the memo, but acknowledged the agency uses ankle monitors as an enforcement tool, adding ICE still makes determinations on a case-by-case basis. The increase in the number of ankle monitors worn is likely to direct more business toward GEO Group, a Florida-based private prison corporation that employed at least 2 of President Donald Trump's top immigration officials in the past, including Tom Homan, who received consulting fees from the firm's immigration monitoring sector. A White House spokesperson stresses Homan recuses himself from all negotiations on government contracts. The company also gave $1.5 million to Donald Trump's 2024 campaign and inauguration fund, and is ICE's largest contractor. The agency's surveillance program is run entirely by BI Incorporated, a subsidiary of GEO. BI has reportedly been plagued by a lack of a case manager, as well as old and faulty equipment. ICE is requesting GEO employ more subcontractors to bulk up surveillance efforts. Only a fraction of immigrants with pending cases are enrolled in ATD currently, which requires they wear a monitoring device or virtually check in through an app, as well as meeting case managers in their home or BI office. Those enrolled reached their highest number at 378,000 under the Biden administration as border crossings spiked, but numbers have since declined. However, since January, the Trump administration has added more than 4,100 enrollees with ankle monitors.
In other news, Iranian forces have warned a U.S. destroyer to stay out of waters claimed by Tehran. The exchange in the Gulf of Oman between the two rivals comes a month after the U.S. carried out strikes against 3 key Iranian nuclear sites during the war between Israel and Islamic Republic. Iranian state TV said Iranian army helicopter flew over the USS Fitzgerald after the vessel attempted to approach the waters under the supervision of Iran. The broadcaster said the destroyer issued threats of its own, but the Iranian pilot reiterated the warning to stay away from Tehran's waters, forcing the U.S. vessel to give in and alter its course. In this video released by Iranian state TV, a destroyer is seen from what seems to be a helicopter window as the pilot calls on the vessel to change course and avoid approaching Iranian territorial waters. A U.S. defense official said the American ship had a safe and professional interaction with an Iranian SS-3 Sea King helicopter while operating in international waters. He added that the interaction had no impact to USS Fitzgerald mission, and any reports claiming otherwise are falsehoods. And this all comes as delegation from the International Atomic Energy Agency is all set to visit Iran within 2 to 3 weeks. And this in a first following Israeli and U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Confirming the visit, Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Gharibabdi, however, said that the group will not have access to country's nuclear sites. Gharibabdi said the visit will focus on establishing new relations with the UN nuclear watchdog. He was speaking at the UN ahead of negotiations in Istanbul with France, Britain and Germany on Friday. The E3 countries are threatening to slap sanctions on Iran over its alleged failure to adhere to its nuclear commitments. Meanwhile, new angles continue to emerge about the 12-day war between Iran and Israel. Amnesty International said on Thursday that Iran fired widely banned cluster munition into populated residential areas in Israel during the war in June. The organization said it analyzed photos and videos showing cluster munitions that reportedly struck inside the Gush Dan metropolitan area around Tel Aviv on 19th of June. Now, on top of that, the southern city of Beersheba on 20th of June and Rishon LeZion to the south of Tel Aviv on 22nd of June were also struck with ordnance that left multiple impact craters consistent with the submunitions seen in Gush Dan. Erica Guevara Rosas, senior director at Amnesty International, said that by using such weapons in or near populated residential areas, Iranian forces endangered civilian lives, going on to call it a blatant violation of international humanitarian law.
And violent clashes are growing along the border between Thailand and Cambodia. Reports say at least 12 Thai civilians are dead in the attacks over a long-standing border dispute. The Thai army says new video shows fires burning at a gas station and convenience store after the area was attacked by Cambodian weapons. ABC's foreign correspondent Britt Clennett has the latest. Hi, Britt.
Well, Diane, this is a serious escalation of a months-long standoff between Thailand and Cambodia, fueled by landmines and growing nationalism, now prompting the U.S. Embassy and Consulate in Thailand to issue a security alert telling its citizens, its U.S. citizens, of course, living or traveling near the Thailand-Cambodia border to seek information from authorities. Now, this is tensions at that disputed border area breaking out with deadly armed clashes. Both countries are accusing each other of opening fire first early on Thursday near the Tha Mon Thom Temple, more than 200 miles from Bangkok. Now, Thailand accused Cambodia of firing rockets into a Thai village and attacking a hospital, while Thailand has carried out airstrikes on Cambodian military targets, even deploying an F-16 fighter jet. Now, Thailand has closed its entire 500-mile-long border with Cambodia after telling all its citizens there to leave, while Cambodia has downgraded its diplomatic relations with Bangkok, accusing it of using excessive force. Now, while we're probably not talking about a full-scale war at this stage, at the moment there is no sign that either country is actually willing to pull back just yet. The Southeast Asian neighbours, they've had long-standing border disputes and they have flared up in the past, but this is since relations have deteriorated significantly since a confrontation in May that killed a Cambodian soldier. So Thursday's clashes, they are far bigger in scale and intensity than we've ever seen before. Diane.
Now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. Turkey unveils its first domestically built hypersonic missile. Thousands protest in Kiev over the new anti-corruption law for the second straight day, and activists rally against oil drilling in the Amazon ahead of the COP30 in Brazil. Finally, we are taking you back in history. On this day in 1969, astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins successfully returned to Earth after landing on the moon. The three astronauts splashed in the Pacific after spending more than 8 days in space. With that, the final leg of the Apollo 11 came to an end. We are leaving you on that note. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.